what's happening. I just need to see you on the screen. I know we're going to be
Well,
just
you know
fine.
what's happening. You know what's happening. It's all
Yeah, yeah,
Epstein all the time.
yeah.
We're up, by the way, I believe.
Oh, hi.
Hi.
Hi. Hi. Welcome to the FiveStack, everybody. I'm Dean. That is, oh, just muted myself at the wrong time. That is Zev Shalev. Narrative.org is where you can find him. Look at that handsome devil. Look at that, just a handsome fella just sitting there, and he's got a nice picture in the background. You look like you're AI. You look chiseled out of AI
I'm totally
today.
chiseled out of AI. This is not what I normally look like. You know that. I couldn't possibly. Well, actually, you've never seen me, so you wouldn't know. I could be an
See you
avatar
every
for
day at
all
3
you know.
o'clock. Every day.
Yeah, but you don't
3
know
o'clock.
that this is really me. It could be an avatar or something else.
Oh man, could you imagine if I got fucked over by a fake podcast
It
partner?
would. Yeah, it would be like what do you call that thing when you go fish? What do you call that thing?
Oh, catfish. I got
Catfishing. Yes.
catfished. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
you'd be catfished by me.
I
Digitally
hope not.
catfished. No, this is me. As
I
tragic
hope
as this
not.
looks. You can tell I haven't had much sleep. There's been so much going on because of the Epstein files. And,
Yeah.
I was up till 4 o'clock in this morning. I was trying to download one of these batches of files. They have deliberately made it impossible for everyone to really get their hands on every single file. It's just so buried and encoded and duplicated and just it's really tough. And I'm not a techie person, but we have some tech people helping. And it's still kind of like, oh my gosh, it's very complicated. There's a lot of hiding going on. There's a lot of covering up going on. And we saw that this morning with Maxwell as well. It's just astounding that we know the context and we know the extent of all these crimes, but they continue to cover it up like it's just nothing,
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it today in the weekend roundup. We had Ellie on, and obviously talked about a main feature that we're going to be discussing today in the FiveStack, which will probably round out to be like a 2-stack, maybe a 3-stack if we get to it. But they're all going to be about the same thing, which is, the ongoing revelation of how deep and dark and disgusting the Epstein files, pedophile sex trafficking network was, and still is, to some extent, because of the hiding and the cover up and the obfuscation on behalf of the Trump DOJ to cover up anything and everything. I mean, even when it comes to releasing the Epstein files, some days they're redacted, some days they're not. Some files disappear completely to come back totally re-redacted. That, and some include strategic names, and then the next day those strategic names disappear. It's this game of fucking whack-a-mole that has to do with the innocence and the lives of thousands of children and young women. I mean, if you didn't think, and it's all within the process that you see the cover up too, like it's not just in the aha moments, like, what we're going to talk about today with this journal, and of course Ghislaine Maxwell taking the hot seat today in an closed door oversight meeting where she just pled the fifth the entire time. We'll get into that and why, because that was strategic, and her demand now is strategic. But it is all coming together for Trump, and it is held by a string, and that string is the reticence of people who we know have this information who still refuse to talk. They're allowing some kind of fucking kangaroo court process to take place before they come forward with information that could help literally thousands of women and children
and could save the country.
who have been affected by this. Yeah,
could actually save the country from a disaster, from a dictatorial future, from autocracy. I mean, that's really what we're talking about. Because in these files, just to set the stakes for everybody, is enough information to make sure that this president does not continue in his autocratic path. And they're making it as difficult as possible, and they're making it as difficult as possible for other people who know things to come forward. And we saw that in the Ghislaine Maxwell thing today, which is, I think we'll basically do all 5 parts, all 5 stories today on the Epstein files. There's so much information coming out about Wexner. There's information coming out about Ghislaine's supposed deal. I mean, this was a fake thing that she threw out today about a Clemency. We'll get into that. We'll talk about that journal that Ellie and I have been covering and what's coming in tonight's installment, which is just as harrowing, if not more harrowing than what you've heard before. And then we've got, obviously the names like Lutnick. Why is Howard Lutnick still in office right now? Why is that man, who's clearly linked to Donald Trump, still anywhere near the White House? Because if this is any other country, and in other countries we've seen this with Lord Mandelson, people go once they're in the Epstein files. They resign, they apologize, they do whatever they need to go, but not in America, where we have a government run by a president who was not only the best friend of Jeffrey Epstein, but he's surrounded by enablers of Jeffrey Epstein and supporters of Jeffrey Epstein and people who partied with Jeffrey Epstein, and everyone is keeping their job. And, there are some calls now from Schiff and others saying, Lutnick should resign. Lutnick should absolutely resign. He lied about his involvement with Epstein, pure and blatantly. He lied in his testimony in front of the Congress, but he also lied on that podcast. He's lied to us all about his involvement, and he continues to do so, and he just laughs in the face of any evidence that keeps to be presented about his involvement with Jeffrey Epstein.
Mm-hmm. And that's really the response that you want to make a group of people trying to desperately get resolution for the victims of a 40-year pedophile sex trafficking ring. Laugh at them.
Yeah.
Laugh at them, because all it does is piss off people like Zev, who is literally wearing the stress of the content that he has to go through, but he is dogged. Laugh at them, because people like Lev just use that as fuel. People like Allie, Kate Justice, laugh at them because it just steals their resolve. And to your point, the Howard Lutnick thing is a good jump off point, because we've got a few things to talk about today, and I don't know where we're going to start. I know we've got 5 stories to give.
It was going to be number one, but we can mention it throughout, and we're going to get to Ghislaine Maxwell first. But go ahead. Why don't you just
please.
talk
well, the Lutnick thing. The Lutnick thing is interesting because it follows the exact same pattern. Every single person that precludes the release of this 3.5 million document dump that we got just under 2 weeks ago. It indemnifies them all as liars. As literally pedophile adjacent, pedophile enabling, violent sexual abuse enabling and co-signing through all of their lies to this point. And we talked about it today with Lev, and I said, I'm at this zero tolerance point, right, where there's really 2 parties that are going to emerge from this: the non-pedophile party and the pedophile party. Donald Trump is the pedophile party. He is running cover up after interference any way he can do it, whether it's with the release of the files or having his proxies run out, or even what we saw fucking today, which is a good place to start, because Ghislaine Maxwell is also playing into this. She is the most prolific liar, not named Trump, Cohen, Lutnick, or any one of those pricks, that is currently holding the door open for pedophilia to be a normalized thing. That's the goal here. It's to paint pedophilia as a normalized thing. It's to run away from it, frame other people, and then just get everybody used to the idea. The more this continues, the worse it gets. And Ghislaine Maxwell has found herself in a unique position where today she showed up to a House Oversight Committee, which is number 5, where she effectively pled the fifth all day, every single time she was asked a question. She said, I plead the Fifth Amendment because it might incriminate me or other people. I can't. At this time, I'm not allowed to say. At this time, I can't say. Like for 8 hours, she did that today. And you'll read all about it. I've got a post about it. You can read up at deanblundell.substack.com. But that's when the moment happened, right? Where David Oscar Marcus, her lawyer, who's best friends with Todd Blanche, the deputy AG that gave Ghislaine the proffer agreement, which means anything she said in that testimony, which today with the Fifth Amendment that she triggered, just turns out to be a fucking lie. Everything that came out of her mouth. Otherwise, she would have been able to say it. If she wasn't able to say it under the proffer agreement, she should be able to say it when she's in house in giving testimony to Congress. But then she dropped the bomb, and her lawyer said, and I quote, "My client is willing to discuss everything Epstein related for clemency, but she can say this: Donald Trump and Bill Clinton did nothing wrong."
I know, that was the real tell. Wasn't that the tell? That this is when they gave away the game for me, is because it's one thing saying, okay, we'll talk if we can get clemency. That's one thing. The minute you explain that the reason you're going to want the clemency is that you are going to allow Donald Trump and Clinton off the hook tells you that this is just another con job by President Trump and Ghislaine
Totally.
Maxwell. Because the one thing that Trump fears the most right now is that President Clinton is going to testify publicly on the 26th and 27th. We hope it's public, but he's going to testify, and he has some goods on Donald Trump that could save the republic. What they're doing in this coded little message that he and Ghislaine Maxwell and Donald Trump have come up with is saying, hey, Bill, we'll get you off too. We're going to save your reputation too. Just come along with us in this crooked deal that we've hooked up, because she is already getting off the charges. She's already got a path to get off these charges with her, her submission to the court a few weeks ago, which basically it was, I guess it's called a habeas petition, basically allows her to get out of the charges because the DOJ has apparently struck deals with 25 men, undisclosed deals, some secret settlements that have allowing them off the hook. This is why we're not seeing any of the perpetrators in the Epstein files, while those names have all been redacted. All the abusers have been redacted. It's only the victims that are there. You might be wondering, why the hell is that happening? It's against the law, for one thing, to save the reputation of anything, or of anyone. But this is not what they're saying. They're going to say that they were settled this as a matter of court, and that's why they're redacted. That it's not about saving the reputation. It's about the fact that they've settled. And it's also going to get Ghislaine Maxwell. And the other tell is that that decision is only coming down at the end of the month. So what they've done is they've given enough time to make sure that Ghislaine does show up and say exactly nothing, as she did today, that she does show up and she does offer some weird deal that includes Trump and Clinton, and that we're all left thinking, oh, she would tell everything if only Donald Trump gave her a clemency. Maybe they're even thinking the Democrats might push for her to get clemency or something like that, which of course is ludicrous. But this is a charade, what we're seeing today. And Comer's faux upset about it is all just a joke. They're all in on it.
Oh, did you see him today? He's like, I was really disappointed.
Really?
You gotta be fucking kidding me.
He's not disappointed. He knows exactly what's happening. They all know exactly what's happening. Maybe the Democrats don't know what's happening, but they should wise up to the idea that they're being taken on a big ride. This is not a fair hearing. This is not a fair process that's going on currently in Congress. This is a big cover-up. The Department of Justice is covering up. The Attorney General is covering up. Ghislaine Maxwell is covering up. The president is covering up. Everybody is covering up. And they've cooked up some secret deal involving these secret settlements. And let me tell you something, that is the cover-up that we're all watching in real time.
The secret deal, two aspects. Fuck, you nailed it too. The secret deal, as it plays into what Ghislaine Maxwell has said she's willing to offer in return for clemency. By the way, she took part in the rape of thousands, not hundreds, thousands of young children, young girls. She's like, I'll give you everything you need, but these two guys are innocent, but I'll give you all the people who are guilty. Let's go back to July when she did that interview with Todd Blanche. She was unaware of any wrongdoing. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Remember that? She's like,
a gentleman.
He
was always a gentleman to her.
Well, not just Trump being a gentleman, though, Zev.
Yeah.
She was like, I never saw anything untowards. I didn't see any of those people. Yeah, I knew friends that were friends with Jeffrey, but I can't see Jeffrey doing any of those things. Well, let's fast forward to clemency, the possibility of it, and she holds that card. She does. She holds that card, and the only guy that wants her to play that card is in the fucking Oval Office, and what he's done now is publicly loop in Bill Clinton via her statement through her lawyer that says, hey, all I know is Bill Clinton and Donald Trump never did anything wrong, but other people did now?
Yeah.
You gotta be fucking kidding me. Like that, what an insult. And I go back to this all the time, to the intelligence of not just the victims, but the people that are investigating this, the perpetrators of this crime and their family, and the fucking American public. What like the fact that we're fucking talking about her now finally coming to Jesus and saying, I got the dirt. Yeah. I got it all, went under immunity. She's like, no one did anything wrong. I never saw anything. And now she's including Bill Clinton and Donald Trump as being the only people involved that didn't do anything. Come the fuck on.
Let me tell you something. Hillary and Bill Clinton have an opportunity here to save America. And if they fall for this ploy to get some clemency or whatever bullshit that Ghislaine and Trump are offering, then we know that their intentions are not in the right place, that their values are not in the right place. But Bill and Hillary Clinton now have it within their ability to save this country and save this democracy, because they should absolutely publicly testify on the 26th and 27th. They should, in front of the entire country, say exactly what happened and what Donald Trump's involvement in it was exact. And and if it involves the fact that these guys slept together or whatever, I don't care. I bet you America doesn't care if Donald Trump and Bill Clinton sucked each other off in a million times. Who cares? What we care about is the truth about what this president
Lordy,
is doing.
I hope there are tapes.
I don't want to see the tapes, frankly. I don't need to see the tapes. I'm good with it. I'm good. But
Yeah.
I do want to hear the truth because I think Bill Clinton didn't do anything that we know of currently that would have really looked beyond the pale, although there's some evidence that he might have. Either way, what we're dealing with here is a criminal conspiracy to compromise him. There's a criminal conspiracy that even, way back when Hillary Clinton said there's a right-wing conspiracy, this is what she was talking about. This is exactly what was happening to her and her husband at the time. And these are the same people. And so it's their opportunity now for Bill and Hillary Clinton to go out in front of everybody and say, no, this was a right-wing conspiracy. And guess who was at the head of it? Donald Trump and Wexner and all these other guys. And they're busy ripping the country off right now. And they're busy stealing our democracy right now, handing it to Russia and turning us into a dictatorship. That is where we are at. And I hope to God, Bill and Hillary Clinton seize this opportunity to be the patriots that we know they are. And absolutely denounce any of this clemency bullshit and say, we are going to go out there and we're going to say it all.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know what? Here's the sad part is that we've gone decades where they could have said it all, right? And not just the Clintons, but the Michael Wolffs of the world and the Cohens of the world, if indeed they know the information or say they have information or say they've seen things. And the things that they've seen would lead to the fact that, what we know to be true. And all we're waiting for is someone to have a moment of clarity, right? A moral moment of clarity to check their fucking character and go, okay, if I'm Bill Clinton, I have that moment of clarity and I say, let's play this out. I'm going to stand in front of the American people. I'm going to tell them what I know. I'm going to tell them about my involvement in it, in as much as it helps America heal, in as much as it helps save America. Even if I'm Bill Clinton and I got a rub down from a young lady who was underage, even if I was caught in a hot tub with my pants off with a bunch of women who were underage or barely of age, if you want a hero in the moment that will always be persona non grata to be able to save America, that's Bill and Hillary Clinton. If you don't think he doesn't know, you're crazy, because he keeps telling us he knows about what's really going on here. So if Bill Clinton is the man that he claims he is, if Hillary Clinton is the woman she claims he is, if they are the American patriots they claim they are, to your point, and it's an excellent point, my friend, save America tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Enough fucking dilly-dally. Come out, do an interview, don't care where it is or how it is, just
go
fucking do it.
Prime Time Live.
Absolutely.
Come on with us. We'll do a Prime Time Live with you. And Bill, I guarantee you, we'll tell you the story that really happened, because we know the story. We know the timeline. We know exactly what's been going on. I don't think anyone has a better grip on the full network of what's been going on than the people who've been working on this on Substack, because there is a tremendous effort underway, and we really see the truth here, which other institutions are not providing. But the work that Dean or Ellie and Kate, Lev are doing, everyone is doing to uncover the real evidence of what's happened here is only happening, as far as I can tell, on Substack and maybe in a couple of other pockets of the universe. But everyone needs to subscribe to everyone who's involved in this effort, and we need to keep the effort up, because this story continues to be the most important story that can save America. And it's no coincidence that the president is involved in this massive, massive cover-up to try and conceal all the details, which brings us to the number 4 story also on this. Actually, it's going to be Les Wexner, so this isn't the wrong one. No, I'm going to get number 5. So at Narrative, we've been going through the Epstein files, all 3 million pages, with Ellie Leonard in particular. We've discovered this incredible journal, which was published as part of the files, but was written in code, written by a teenager or a young woman in code. And she deliberately did this to obscure the horror and the nightmare she was enduring as part of the Jeffrey Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell network. It is a harrowing read, and we spotted this early on, and Ellie and I have been trying to figure out exactly who it is, who wrote it, and also trying to figure out what it says. And it turns out that Ellie is a good decoder or coder, so she was able to figure out the code, and we've published now 2 parts of it. There's a third one coming this afternoon. In the first one, we talked about the names that were hidden in code. And what's interesting here is everywhere else in the FBI Epstein files, the names of the perpetrators are redacted. But in these files, because they're written in code by this victim, they weren't redacted because they were coded. And so we were able to find names in there of people that were surprising. Some were known, some were not known, who were part of that network, who the person involved is accusing of doing terrible things to her, including Leon Black, who did these. I don't want to go through the details; it's so horrific. But the violent nature of these assaults on these girls is just jaw dropping. And this afternoon, as soon as we get off the air, actually, I hope we'll be able to put it up. Then we're going to post the third part of this series, and I'll just give you a brief look at what we're going to be showing you here. So this is just one page out of this journal that written by a survivor. This is the first time we're putting it out. You can see the word death that is very typical in this journal. They've cut out these words from magazines in order to just, I guess it's a way of distancing themselves from what's being put out on the pages. And then you see these red splatters, which are exactly what they are. I mean, I don't know if they are blood, but they're meant to symbolize blood. And the reason that they're symbolizing blood is because in this journal, we'll find out about the abortions and the stolen children of the victim here. And it is harrowing to read. We've done our research into this, and there's at least 8 pregnancies. And I say at least because there's probably many, many more pregnancies and even more abortions that took place as all these vile people were raping these children across the world. And the decoded here thing is, let me just try to pull it up for you because I had it here a second ago. Let me just find it.
You look for it. Let me fill everybody in as to where you can find the details of the story. So Zev and Ellie have been doing incredible work in tandem, trying to decode this journal that belongs to a 16-year-old victim of the Jeffrey Epstein decades-long pedophile sex trafficking network. So Ellie, because she's really smart, understands how to break certain codes, specifically linguistic codes, has broken this code. What you're seeing is the legend and something that this victim wanted to write that talked about death. I can't read it because I don't understand the code, but what you can do is you can go to Ellie Leonard's Substack and Zev Shalev's Substack, including narrative.org and The Panicked Writer, and you can read all about it. It is truly some of the most disturbing in terms of the allegations that we're hearing in and around Epstein, and the allegations that are attached to this diary that is written in code and appears to have, cutouts from Vanity Fair and other magazines that help kind of paint the story, details not just the horrific abuse by people like Harvey Weinstein, who was deeply involved in this as well, Leon Black, who was involved in this as well, several others that are currently in hiding or looking for a place to hide, including some people who are dead, like Jeffrey Epstein and John Luke Burnell. But the interesting part of this journal, it opens up sort of a new avenue of nightmare. And that is the nightmare of this girl and other women, one's to assume, that were forced to get abortions or to have children, and then to give these children away or give them up to Jeffrey Epstein with no knowledge of where they are, what has happened to these children. And some will say this is part of his whole eugenics thing, trying to breed, smart, strong, weird, sect of humanity or individual that's got, the brain power of certain really bright people or certain elites in the world. That might be part of this. But what we do know is that this was written as an outlet by this then 16-year-old girl, and Ellie seems to kind of have a handle on who it might be.
Yeah, I think we both have.
But the accounts of the you do too. But the accounts of her horror, they eclipse anything that I've read so far in your reporting and Ellie's reporting It's heavy.
It's very heavy
It's
stuff.
very fucking heavy. Yeah.
We're, and this is one of the reasons I'm, it's just been difficult to process all of this stuff. The headline that we're using for today's story is "I am not your personal incubator," which is, and this what you're looking at here is one page. If you want to break the code, it's quite simple when you know it. It's she's writing downwards, so it's the first two words here are "so sorry," so it's SOSORRY. You can sort of see how it's just a code written on two lines. And she's saying here, "So sorry, Jeffrey, these things happen when your body had never been given time to properly heal. So it came out in the toilet, and I didn't know what to do, so I just flushed the tiny little fetus. You have made me numb, and I hate you for this. I hope I never have to see you again. I'm not your personal incubator. Where is the baby? Where is Guylaine?" And it goes on like that. And then this is not the first pregnancy that this poor victim had to go through. Later, she reveals another pregnancy where she says, "Tomorrow is the halfway ultrasound for Jeffrey. This one stuck. After they took the first baby who survived and the early miscarriage, I think it was called one. I no longer feel like a person, but a vessel." So she had a baby that was taken, that was survived and taken, a second miscarriage, and now this is the third. So that she lands up, I think, having an abortion for, at least that's what it sounds like from this diary. This is the kind of horror that you can't imagine, because imagine being stuck in a house like that mansion that Epstein had in New York, or that other mansion he had in Palm Beach, or the remote ranch that he had in New Mexico, and just think how impossible it would be to escape. And if you could tell anyone, you'd die probably. And if you were able to even get to anybody, they would be all over you with all sorts of lawsuits and intimidation and bullying, and you'd be discredited forever. So you have no voice, as you're trapped in this world where Guylaine and Jeffrey can do whatever the hell they want to with you, make anyone have sex with you, give you away, like whatever it is, and you're stuck there, you're trapped there, you have no way out. And that's what you get out of these journals. It's really harrowing, and it gives you kind of a personal view of what the experience was like.
Yeah. You know, there should be no fucking tolerance for anybody that supports this regime. The journal that you put out, and let me remind everybody that none of this is a conspiracy theory. These are from the DOJ dump about a week and a half ago. And this is a journal that was in code, so the FBI just never bothered trying to decode it. So it just sat there, right? Until you and Allie got your hands on it, and you and your research team decided to try and figure out why. Why was this in code? Well, the reason why it was in code is this poor woman, this poor girl at the time, child, right? 16-year-old child, was kept locked away somewhere, impregnated over and over again, abused over and over again, and depending on the pregnancy, would have it aborted, or they'd take it from her, or she miscarried.
Yeah.
And if there's one of those women that had that experience, there are hundreds of other girls, children, women.
We found 8 at least, and that's just in the what's known. I mean, those are the court documents, and those are things that have actually gone to court. And how many people did not even raise their voice or even admit to any of this happening? How many girls were raped and just walked away and didn't want to deal with it? Or how many pregnancies were just think about the Katie Johnson lawsuit, where she asked Donald Trump allegedly to put on a condom, and he says to her, just get a fucking abortion, as he throws money at her. And the president is likely to react that way. And so, these are the people that are now running the government. These are the people who have assumed power in America. And Epstein, I make this point tonight in the story, is that Trump was best friends with Epstein when all of this was going on. When this diary was being written, he was best friends with Jeffrey Epstein. So is he saying he didn't know that his best friend was housing somebody as a victim, as a captive in the home, and raping her?
He knew.
He knew.
Let me draw your attention to a similar lawsuit that was filed in Miami, if you remember this, about 2.5 months ago.
Yeah.
A woman claimed with other women, dozens of other women, in a class action lawsuit that Donald Trump ran a sex pedophile trafficking ring adjacent to the Epstein files ring out of Mar-a-Lago. And what was in that? Where's my child? You took my child from me. I want my child back. This is a $210 million lawsuit that's very much fucking real, that nobody's talking about to this day. Nobody. It's like these bricks just continually get built, and the Trump regime and Carolyn Levitt and the machine of the DOJ is simply not interested in getting any kind of resolve or helping any of the victims, and it's not seemingly. They're not.
They're
we know
gonna
they're
cover
not.
this whole thing up. They believe they're
They
entitled to.
are. They're
And-
doing it now.
And the Republican Party used to be the Right to Life Party. I don't know if they still pretend to be that, but they have this whole Catholic base that votes for Donald Trump because he's going to be the abortion opponent, the person who stops abortion in America. Meanwhile, all this is going on. How many miscarriages and abortions and forced enslavement has been going on? And no wonder they're introducing this legislation where you can't, rape victims can't be aborted or something like that. I mean, it just seems to me that that particular base of the Republican Party, that so-called social conservative base, they've been lied to by Donald Trump over and over again. He's exactly the opposite. I ran across one thing in the Jeffrey Epstein files the other day, which showed Donald Trump 2 weeks before the election was out there fundraising by saying, let's get the pedophiles. And it's in Jeffrey Epstein's inbox. Let's get the pedophiles. And it's his fundraising campaign talking about how he's going to get them and how Melania was running, some sort of campaign against this. Meanwhile, I haven't reported this out yet, but I'm going to put out a story later that Melania was bought by Donald Trump from Jeffrey Epstein, according to these files. There is testimony, and I'll say this for the first time. Let me just double check that I've got the right thing. I might even show it to you.
Just so you know, everybody, I'm hearing this for the first time too, but in every way, shape, and form, it makes sense. Sorry, continue.
This particular email, and I might have so much stuff open in my inbox.
Oh, you're one of those tab guys where you get like 40,000 tabs.
I have so much going on because there are so many files, right? And I don't want to close any, because if I close any, I'm going to lose what I was working on. So I just spend my time trying to find the files. But there is a document inside here, an email that comes from an unknown person, which we discovered, and we're going to put out. So, I'm probably giving away the story to everybody, but anyhow, whatever. Where it's clear that this person says that they were there the weekend that Donald Trump met Melania at Jeffrey Epstein's, and that he kept coming out of the bedroom saying, what a great ass, or what a great piece of ass that is, which is the line he uses about people. We've heard him use it before. And this person was, contemporaneously sharing this with Jeffrey Epstein in memory the day of the election. So I have it. So I'm going to just see if I can show it to you. But it's, it just tells you yet again the situation. And, that is the Melania story. That is not the Melania story in the documentary, is not the real Melania story. To no one's surprise. The Melania story is that she is at best, a escort, a Russian woman of the night who has found her way into Donald Trump's marriage by purchase, probably. And she could sue me.
I love how you called her a woman of the night. She is a hooker.
Yeah.
She is a Eastern European hooker who came over in the Russian hot chick pipeline that Epstein ran with all of his friends in the Eastern Bloc, and all of a sudden she finds herself in Epstein's hands. They get it on. They get busy for a solid year. Remember that check he presented to Donald Trump? He's like, 22,000, one used woman, totally done with her. She's yours. Remember that?
Yeah.
Remember that whole thing? Could have been her. We don't know, but it makes a little more sense. But to your point, I mean, it's a well-known fact, Sonny Jim, that's exactly what she is. She lacks any credibility, any history, anything you can point to say, oh, she's just the first lady who came over and made good on the American dream. No, she fucking didn't.
No,
No,
she
she
doesn't.
didn't.
She's not specially gifted by the Epstein visa, or what do you call the Epstein visa?
I
The
don't know. I heard
Einstein
her read a
visa.
Christmas story there that I wouldn't expect her to split the atom or help any kid with their homework
Yeah,
anytime
I don't
soon.
think that's the kind of person we're dealing with here. We're dealing with someone who clearly, and I'm trying to pull this up for you because it's worth your time. But let me see, because it is news. We might as well put it up here for everybody if I can. It doesn't want to. It doesn't want to. But I will. Let me see if I can.
Well, I'll just tease, ladies and gentlemen. What a better way to tease this than to
we'll
say
tease
you're going to put it out in a post a little later on.
Yeah, we are.
And your good friend Dean's going to make sure everybody sees it on his channel as well.
Thank you. But do you want me to read it to you anyhow? I'll read it to you anyhow.
Yeah.
It says,
100%.
I simply cannot believe this victory. This was on election night. No one called it. We all thought she'd win, meaning Hillary Clinton. You must be happy, though, this person tells Jeffrey Epstein. I remember flying back with Donald on his plane the first weekend I went to visit you in Florida was the weekend he met Melania, and he kept on coming out of the bedroom saying, wow, what a hot piece of ass. Nuts. Anyway, hope you're enjoying Saudi.
When was that dated?
2016?
Oh,
this is 2016. This is election night, November 9th, 2016, the day after.
Who and the person's name's obviously redacted.
Obviously redacted. So it was someone who was visiting with Jeffrey Epstein, someone who's probably one of the accused.
Someone who was there when he was going in and out of a bedroom to have sex with Melania the time that he met her. And the bedroom appears to be on the Lolita Express, which is allegedly, according to all the information that we have, allegedly how Donald Trump initially had intercourse with Melania Trump.
Well, it says it was on his plane. So I don't know if it was his plane or Melania's plane or how it worked, or Jeffrey's plane, but it was on a plane. And then it says, wow, what a hot piece of ass. And I'm not sure if the meeting happened on the weekend when they were staying at Jeffrey's or the plane. I don't know. But that's an expression I've heard him say about Ivanka, what a hot piece of ass.
Yeah, his own daughter. Yeah, he likes, it's his thing. Interesting how all of a sudden today, Ghislaine Maxwell said Donald Trump did nothing wrong, and we have, 38,000 different accounts from the last 40 years like that. Yeah. So we're going to believe Melania. We're going to believe Ghislaine Maxwell, who's dying for clemency, over 38,000 different examples that we know of.
And doesn't it explain why they did this documentary, why there has been this push to whitewash her history, to reintroduce her to the world as something that she is not, when in reality, they knew this was coming. They knew this deadline was coming. At number 4, Les Wexner, the billionaire who gave Epstein power of attorney over his finances, his $77 million Manhattan mansion, and access to the Limited's corporate infrastructure, is finally being deposed on February the 18th. The files released by the DOJ have now included a draft message from Epstein to Wexner that says, or at least references, gang stuff and outstanding debts. Wexner is mentioned over 1,000 times in this archive. He claims Epstein stole hundreds of millions from him, but guess what? He never reported it to the police, never sued him, and continued the relationship for years afterwards because...
All fucking evidence to the contrary, too, right? Like, it's fucking crazy that these assholes expect us to believe them in this fucking moment. And this, by the way, the Epstein-Wexner relationship is skittish at best, in terms of sexuality, right?
Yeah, I've heard
so there are so many different reports from people who's like, Epstein was Wexner's boy toy for a while, and then Epstein got some dirt on Wexner, and then Wexner's like, okay, I'll give you power of fucking attorney over my entire empire. And it's like, probably a good idea. Well, Leslie Wexner, to your point, has a chance to be an American hero, despite the fact he's a fucking absolute pervert pedophile zero. Leslie Wexner can go up there and go, he got me. He got me. I was part of this fucking thing, and we had some intercourse, and then he took some pictures. Like that's, and it's no secret. Like you say stuff like, well, I've heard. It's no secret that was how they met. It's no secret that was the deal between these two guys. It's no secret Les Wexner has no problem going to the right or to the left or dead ahead. He plays by all the rules, and Les Wexner's deeply involved with the Russian mob, the Russian Jewish mob. So, like, when we sit here and have this conversation about Jeffrey Epstein being in the Russian Jewish mobs and being an informant for both, I mean, how many fucking things do you need to line up before you go, oh, yeah, Leslie Wexner's going to go up there and lie his dick off as well? because
Let
that's
me ask you a
exactly
question,
what he's
G.
going to do.
If you were wanting to get involved in a criminal scheme, but you didn't want any accountability for it, you didn't want anyone coming back to get at you, wouldn't you give your financial control to somebody else who was committing the crime?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it's a scheme that maybe you even cooked up, but you don't want to be responsible. So you're saying, hey, I'll give you all the control. I'll give you all the mansions, all these other things. You can do whatever you want there because I didn't do it. I had
Yeah.
nothing. I wasn't involved.
Plausible deniability, right?
Yeah. Sorry, I don't know what happened there. Let me reset my Zoom. I've got gesture control, which apparently means I can't put my hands up.
Don't do it. Don't do it. Just stay old school like me. Put it on a plastic tripod and wish for the best.
Well, I can't. I don't like. I'm too much of a control freak
You're
to
too
do
anal.
that. But
I
I think
know.
maybe you're right. Maybe you're right about that.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh,
Anyhow,
there you go. You're back. Yeah.
So Wexner is not a good guy, I don't think. But he's testifying. Guess what he's going to be? He's going to lie about everything too. So expect nothing. But at least he has been called for to testify or be deposed. That's a good thing. We spoke about this already. The number 2 stories is all about how the victims are exposed, the perpetrators are not. We've explained that. It's just appalling that this is where we are in America. The exact opposite of good. Good is becoming evil. Evil is becoming good. The people who should be protected are not being protected, and it's just horrific.
Yep.
And I think we've covered that. So let's go to the number 2 story, which is
number 1 story, I think. Oh no, we got the number 2 story. Yeah,
so this is interesting.
Okay.
So Raskin today.
I'm going to help you with numbers when we're done. I'm going to help.
Thank you. And math is not my strong suit. Can never be in Jeffrey Epstein. So at number 2. Thomas Massey and Raskin got a chance to see the unredacted files today. But of course, they go in there. It's 3.5 million files. They got to see maybe 30, 40 pages because who can get through 3.5 million files? So they've got these unredacted things at the Department of Justice. The Congress people have to go out there, and they can't have computers. They can't have any phones, and they have to just remember what they see in there, right? So these are the obstacles they're putting up for real transparency. The Department of Justice in their cover-up and the Trump administration in their cover-up are making it impossible for everyone to get the information. They say, oh, yeah, it's available. Bring your notepad, write down 3.5 million notes, will you? Even if they were all in there for every second of the day until, they would still not be able to get through 3.5 million documents. None of us can. We're all struggling to get through even a core bit of them, never mind downloading them. And so this is yet another sign that they're hiding things. They're hiding. This is a cover-up. This is a cover-up of huge proportions.
How many different examples do we need to give people of this being a pedophile, sex trafficking, rapist network cover-up? Like, how many different examples do you need? Do you need the fact that they're 4 weeks past the Epstein Files Transparency Act deadline? Do you need the fact that they remove and redact whatever they want? Do you need the fact that victims' names are plainly, unredacted, while the perpetrators of these crimes, especially anybody connected to Trump, are all redacted? Do you need all that, or do you need us to tell you that Jamie Raskin and Thomas Massey walked into, to see some of these files unredacted, and they're not allowed to report on it, talk about it, not allowed to take notes? It's incredibly difficult. It's way off site. They are making this so hard, even for people like you, me, and they do this in the name of transparency, which is obviously a fucking lie, right? It's obviously a lie. Up is down and down is up with this, and I thought about it today, and it's an old silly way of saying you're insulting my intelligence, but don't piss on me and tell me it's raining. Right? These people are taking a shit on you and telling you it's not happening, and they're doing that to victims of horrific violence over the past 40 years that they've all been involved in. And the Massey thing is interesting, and I want to ask you this question because you would know more than me, but read today that Massey received a flash drive with all the names of everybody involved, including the billionaires, who they're involved with, their connections to Epstein, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Did you read that, or am I crazy?
I did read that. It doesn't surprise me. I know the victims have been saying all along that they will release those names. And They have every reason to now. I mean, this is not, they've been exposed so much by this. They've been traumatized and re-traumatized and re-traumatized. I don't know if it's from the victims. That could be from anybody. But we've also been able to piece together this network. I've got a chart that's, getting too big to fit into a screen, because there are so many names involved with the Epstein network that will blow your mind away. And just from these diaries that we've been able to find, there's so many names, so many names in sports, in technology, in just every sphere of life. And
art, science, the fucking crazy part I read, specifically in your reporting with Ellie, when it comes to this coded book, how many fucking academic professors there were that Jeffrey Epstein had involved in this pedophile for free scheme. Like it's mind blowing to me.
And we just
Minsky from MIT is named in this. The dude from Arizona State University, can't remember his name off the top of my mind, but like seemingly bright people. And I understand, engineer's paradox. A lot of people do it. Oh, like really smart people were cooked. Well, really smart people don't do this. And there's a difference between like really smart horsepower, intellect, IQ. You're able to problem solve in real time, but you're really good at reading. You can popularize information. You've got good recall. And people that are able to put those things together, they're not pedophiles, but really smart, crazy, kooky people that are really good at like, math or, or algebra or fucking bio or physics or what have you. They have no personal skills whatsoever. Like they've got none, right? A lot of them don't, and very, very rarely do. And so those people suffer from something called engineer's paradox, where yes, they're smart in a vertical, but they can't put it together sideways. And I've been shocked by how many people like that have been caught up in this. Larry Summers, add his name to the fucking list. He is deeply involved in that coded book that you guys talked about. And if I could give anybody some direction today to truly understand, and I know it's hard for people, but you need to be aware and you shouldn't look away. And I know some people are going to have a hard time with Zev's reporting and Ellie's reporting on this, is go to narrative.org and go to the Panicked Writer, Ellie Leonard, Zev Shalev. I need you to read the pieces they put out in tandem. Because what Zev is doing is he's popularizing and summarizing the detailed work that Ellie Leonard is putting out at the Panicked Writer. And what you do when you read both of those in tandem, and the third part of that series is out tonight, is you get a really clear picture of who and what and why. And, Ellie said it today in the show, and I think everybody needs to take this away from the conversation that we're having today, the one we had earlier with Lev. Yes, this is about influence and power. Yes, it's about perversion. Yes, it's about playing to the seven deadly sins with the most influential people in the world. But this is that cabal of trillionaire perverts that you heard about as a kid, that you heard about the secret society of these people that wear fucking masks, like in the Eyes Wide Shut flick with Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman. It even, listen, I'll even go as far as there was a movie where Rich Elites, and I can't remember the guy's name. He was an actor, Eli, I can't remember his name. He's great. He was in Inglourious Bastards. Anyway, about this cabal of people that paid huge money to go and like murder children, people. Like hitchhikers and stuff. It's like these kings. Ladies and gentlemen, the sad news is that exists, and it existed for decades, and Donald Trump is in the fucking middle of it. What is the middle of it? He's the president of the United States.
What if the key to power and success and money and fortune and all of that meant you had to do a deal with the devil? What if the key to being the most influential, network, powerful billionaires, trillionaires in the world, you have to commit to this this travesty, these awful events, and you were given that choice. We'll give you the keys to the kingdom, or you don't get the keys to the kingdom. You get to be just an ordinary folk who doesn't get anywhere. But you can get the keys, but you've got to be part of us. You've got to be part of the group that does all these terrible things to all these people. Imagine being presented with that deal. It's like all or nothing. And
they all took the deal.
They all took the deal.
They all took the deal. And here's the fucking thing, right? I think this is worth saying. That's the entire purpose behind this culture war, right? That's the entire purpose of them politicizing a culture war about a trans volleyball player, or sex changes at recess, or kettling migrants and beating the shit out of people of color in the name of America, white America. That's the whole point. Because if they can get you to fight a culture war, you'll let them off with their class war. And this is a class war. Now you have the centrifuge of what has been the biggest class war in the history of the global economy that we know to be the world that we live in now, is that we got them. We know who they are. The people that are forcing with Russia, with Epstein, with MAGA, with all these outside influences, and it sits within the Epstein files. All of it does, all of it. And now you know why we've been at each other's throats. Now you know why MAGA has turned into a cult, because they so badly need any kind of support that cosigns their actions, saying, and I've seen people put this on Twitter, on social media, we've got a lot to learn from these oligarchs and billionaires. They will trickle down their wealth to us. It's a fucking lie. The entire point of this is so that they can take everything from you, tell you how to react to it, or whether or not you're worthy to react to it, while they rape your children and your women, while they kettle you, while they beat the shit out of you and shoot you in the back 10 times in fucking Minneapolis. That's the point here. And when we stop fighting this stupid fucking culture war, and all of us are so many more, it's the less than 1% that are involved in this. That leaves a little more than 99% to go, all right, lock arms for the victims. That's fucking enough. And that's why we're here.
You're so right. You're so right, Dean. I love what you're saying, because that is exactly the thing. They are, you started with the show talking about this pro-PETA party and the anti-PETA party. That's what they want. They want us all to be tearing each other apart, accusing each other of being pedophiles, of being, whatever. Meanwhile, we know it's all them, and we know that it's only a small group of them. And if we were true to the American vision and what America is supposed to stand for, and if we really believed in what our founders did, and if we really believe in this party being, in this government being a government for the people, by the people, then we would boot them out of their power, because it is within our power to do that. And it's clear as anything, these people are running a massive operation against us. And as you pointed out, they're raping children, they're stealing our money. They're in the middle, I think, of the biggest heist in history.
They're executing us in the fucking streets.
Yeah. And they will continue. And they want us to be yelling at each other about, you're a pedophile, you're a pedophile, you're a pedophile. Because that serves their purpose. They'll be able to continue their crime and their criming, which brings us, to the number one story. We said it at the beginning, but Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick told a podcast last year that he stopped associating with Jeffrey Epstein, his neighbor, in 2005. Documents released by the DOJ tell a very different story. Lutnick is mentioned over 250 times in the files, and the documents show he planned to visit to Epstein's private island in 2012, 7 years after he claimed he cut ties. I saw another document today where he and Dubin and company are busy hosting a breast cancer function thing that was in favor of the Rottenberg family of Russia, the oligarch family. I mean, it's not hard to see the connections here. Lutnick is laughing off these accusations, and yet he lied, and he lied under oath, and he lied on this podcast, and he's not fit to be the Commerce Secretary of America. Anyone in his position would have been forced to resign ages ago, especially by this GOP, which is so holier than thou. How come this man is still in power?
Because he's guilty, and he has as much to lose as everybody else. And Trump will keep all of them in front of him as a firing squad. Trump will keep every single one of those guys in a position to laugh this off, because Trump knew one thing going into this term as his presidency, the 47th president of the United States. He knew one thing. I got to fucking outrun the Epstein files. So what do? I surround myself with everybody in the Epstein files. And we all tell the same lie, because we all have just as much to lose, and that is everything.
That's
everything. Howard Lutnick is as guilty as Donald Trump, is as guilty as Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein and Reid Hoffman and Jess Staley and Larry fucking Summer and Alan Dershowitz and every single fucking puke and pervert that is in the Epstein files. And he's the Commerce Secretary. And he's woefully unqualified for that, too. The only reason he's the Commerce Secretary, the only reason Tulsi Gabbard is the DNI, the only reason Kristi Noem is in the position she's in, and Pete Hegseth's in the position he's in. The only reason this kakistocracy exists is to protect him and all of his friends from the truth about their horrific acts against children and young women in the name of power, in the name of influence, and in the name of the fucking almighty dollar. That's it. And when you get that, you can just assume Howard Lutnick is also going nowhere until someone comes and puts a fucking set of handcuffs and bracelets on him and leg irons and says, it's time to go for a fucking conversation.
So if you do one thing today, if you do one thing to save this democracy today, make a call to your congressman or congresswoman, your senator, or anybody else in the Congress that will listen, and demand that Lutnick resign from office. Senator Adam Schiff has called for his resignation. Thomas Massey's called for his resignation. We should be seeing Howard Lutnick resign. That's what happens in governments with his democracy and accountability. And we're not seeing it. Lutnick should be ripped out of his office and should be under investigation right away, and should absolutely be in front of this committee that's investigating everything that's going on with Epstein, even though we can't expect much from them. But he should not be in charge of America's commerce. And he absolutely should be fired from his job or resign. And that is what the American people need to demand. Call your Congress people, call your local Congress people, call your state's representatives. Demand that these people get thrown out of power for their exposure or if they lied about their involvement with the Epstein files.
Well said. Apply that across the board and take that zero tolerance perspective into everything when you hear anything to do with someone in the Epstein files who's like, I mean, we were friends, but I swear I didn't see anything. No, they saw it. They know they're all pedophiles, specifically after his 2008 conviction date. Anything after that isn't just suspect. You're fucking guilty. Thanks for watching the FiveStack today. You can get it on Apple. You can get it on Spotify. Shocked because I got someone that's like, hey, I'm listening on Spotify every day. I'm like, no way, we're on Spotify too. Zev handles all that, and he does so magically. And I would really encourage everybody, in a quiet moment, to go and not just subscribe to thenarrative.org and Ellie Leonard and both of their tandem reporting on the subject around this journal. I'd encourage you to read it. I would encourage everybody to read it. I don't care who you are. If you want to understand or get in the minds of the jail and the nightmare that these children were trapped in, your reporting does an incredible job advocating for these women, but also doing it from a perspective of proof and evidence. And I want to thank you for the work, because I know, dude, it's been hard for you.
Yeah,
you and I are late today because it's been difficult for you. So
it's a lot to take in sometimes, and some of these people, it gets even these victims, if you've known them for a while, they're sort of so prepared to talk about what they're talking about, but when you actually read what they went through, it's harrowing. It's harrowing. Mm-hmm. And I just also want to credit you for your reporting. I know you've been very active in calling for investigations by governments around the world, and I think it's so important. What you're doing over there is so critical, because you're not going to get a fair investigation out of the DOJ, but you are going to get better investigations out of the Polish investigation that's been launched, or the one that you're calling for in Canada. It's absolutely important that this international organization, this criminal organization, be investigated by every possible force around the world, because it is about the freedom of humanity. And thank you very much for keeping on doing that, and also for your reporting this morning on the Ghislaine Maxwell hearing today, because
not much of a hearing on her Fifth Amendment circus. Listen, it's our pleasure. I mean, we are a couple of white dudes, and as luck or unluck would have it, or the lack of luck, is that we get a chance to give that privilege to people who truly need it. And I mean that. I'm not saying that from a perspective of employing my own love of the patriarchy. Fuck, I hate it. But what I do love is watching people take their privilege and give it to others, which is what I watch you do to a great extent every day. Ellie does that to a great extent every day. All of us. Citizens are going to be the ones that get an answer here. Citizens, people like us, like you. And you, as a subscriber, are going to be the people that, enable us to continue to do this work. So I would gratefully and humbly ask you to subscribe to narrative.org, which is where you'll find Zev Shalev. He is incredible. He is honest. He is hopeful. Yeah, both of us.
Substack.com.
Hey, listen, the paid subs get us to the top of the algorithm, and they make sure that people see it. And if you can't pay for it, that's okay. I've got 30% off for the till the end of February for annual subscriptions. And if you need a free, unlimited access, and you just can't pay for it, you're on a fixed income, please send me a DM. I'm more than happy to help you. But if you appreciate any of the work you hear, if you appreciate any of the things that we do, those paid subs will keep us moving forward in the name of truth, democracy, and justice for these victims. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And more importantly, share this with anybody that needs to see it, needs to hear it. And share this with anybody that still is under the spell of Donald Trump. Because like I said before, I mean, we're going two different directions. You either support a pedophile or you don't. We don't. That's why we're here. So thank you for watching the FiveStack today. Thank you, Zev, for making sure that this went off without a hitch yet again. Dude, you're incredible. And make sure that you subscribe to Zev Shalev, Panicked Writer, Lev, myself, everybody here. The resistance is alive and well. We're not going anywhere because you make that possible. So thank you, thank you, thank you, and have an excellent day, all.
You too. See you tomorrow, everybody.
You got it.